Hopefully some parishioners got the crowd copy of the Passion, and were able, in your home altars that we've been getting many comments about, to pray aloud the crowd parts. It's probably because of that, because of this dramatic way we proclaim the Passion in full every year, that's one of my earliest memories, probably for all of you, of church and being involved, having a part to say in the gospel. And if you're not the most liturgically plugged in, there's a couple of things that go on here. This Passion Sunday, Palm Sunday, we use one of three Gospels, Matthew, Mark, or Luke. And on Good Friday, when we proclaim it very similarly, as we will with the live stream, if we're going to try and broadcast the Triduum this year, then we'll use John's Gospel. So that's always the same. Good Friday's Gospel is always the same. But because the Palm Sunday Gospels change up a bit, you find yourself saying every year as you proclaim it, like things you remember from different years, like, didn't I hear one time about Jesus healing the ear of the servant that got it cut off? When that wasn't in this year's Gospel, it wasn't in Matthew. Or there's another one that talks about how King Herod gets to interrogate Jesus a bit, right? So that wasn't in this year either. That's in Luke's Gospel. Or the foot washing at the Last Supper, which is another gospel, but we're going to use that with the Holy Thursday Mass in the evening for Triduum. But every year there are lines, aren't there, as we pay close attention to this most important gospel that stick out. There is great similarity between the three gospels, and there's a reason for that. All four, actually. It's because really early on, in the first days of Christianity, a decision was made by the first Christians to tell this story in only one way. They are so lockstep and so similar to each other that whoever made that decision, whatever authority made that decision, must have been respected by all. And we actually think we know who it was. It was the one who comes off so poorly, besides Judas. It's probably St. Peter, acting in his role as our first pope, because he lets them admit his own letdown, his own failure. This story of the Passion of Jesus is central, foundational to what it means to be a Christian. I have friends who are clergy and loved ones, family and friends who belong to different denominations. And I respect other noble faith traditions, and I do know them to have sophisticated ways of understanding the human condition in light to God and faith. But for me, and no apologies, I'm a Catholic priest, I believe fully in this gospel, but for me, the Passion of Jesus, that a God, this impossible thought, a God that doesn't just sit up in heaven as the people he professes to love suffer, doesn't just hand out lollipops and miracles and cures, but actually suffers with us, wants to experience it alongside us. That's proof of a real God. It's the thing that makes Christianity, for my money, the best faith system. No apologies, I'm a Catholic priest. So in the gospel, in the Passion this Palm Sunday, when we are all in various stages going through this emergency, the lines that stuck out to me this year were Jesus' moments of prayer that we're given the opportunity to eavesdrop on as Matthew presents them. It strikes me as three. One, the first time in the garden when he goes off by himself. He kind of says, Lord, take this away from me. If it's possible, I don't have to suffer it. Shortly after, his prayer modifies And he says something like, Lord, if I have to do this, let it be for your good, for you. Let me understand that you're somehow in it with me. And the third, now on the cross, sounds like a frightened Jesus, perhaps. One who feels the totality of the alienation that's a result of sin when he proclaims up, my God, why have you abandoned me? I think on the easiest way of understanding those three prayers, you could just say this. If the Lord does it, it's okay. Prayers like his, they're okay for us. And I imagine during this emergency, many of us are saying those prayers. Lord, if I cannot have to suffer this, spare me, spare my loved ones. For another set of us out here, Lord, if we have it, help us understand you're with us while we're having it. And maybe for many others, where are you, God? None of us have to feel guilty about those kinds of prayers. Jesus prayed that way too. As we're all thinking about and praying for healthcare workers among our family, our parishioners, our friends, maybe those ministering for our family because we're not allowed into the hospitals, there's something very Christ-like about them right now. Jesus, who didn't just stay up in heaven, but came down to help at great sacrifice. That's what they're doing. Very Christ-like. Someone else I'm thinking about right now, I'm going to actually switch into his words, is a priest of our diocese, Father Joe Miro. He's pastor over at St. Anthony's in East Northport. And I know him just because when I was a seminarian, he was the pastor of St. Jude's in Mastic Beach, where my brother Dan's family was, and so I encountered him a few times there. But Father Matt brought this to my attention because before Father Matt came to us, he served the good people. He's praying for the good people there. He's praying for Joe. Father Joe, great priest of our diocese, he contracted COVID-19, and he was hospitalized. And he's out. And even though he's recovering, he's still in his isolation part. So unlike us, that we get this chance right now to maybe see each other on live stream, good pastor that he is, he wrote a message to his people. I'm going to share it with you now, not just because it's the message of a good priest. He's an awesome priest. But his message also encapsulates what all of us as Christians can do, feel, believe. The difference our gospel and our approach make in this situation. Here's what Father Joe wrote. I want to thank you for your prayers over these past 2 weeks. As you may know, I have tested positive for COVID-19 and have suffered much these past weeks. But I'm out of the hospital. I am truly one of the lucky ones. Your prayers made the difference. While I was in pain from the coronavirus, I couldn't even think straight. It felt like the agony in the garden and the scourging at the pillar. So I tried to meditate on the sufferings of Jesus and offer my pain with the suffering of Jesus for you. In my prayer, I thought about how Jesus suffered so much for us so that we might have hope that he is with us in our suffering. Because of his suffering for us, we can have hope that all our pain will come to an end. we can believe that we will be reunited with all our loved ones who have died, especially those we are losing right now. I also felt that Jesus not only had suffered this way before me, but that he was suffering right now in me. It helped me to get through it, to think that he loved me so much, that he was with me, even in this pain. And so I believe that Jesus is with you now. He shares your fear, your confusion, and your pain, because he loves you so much. Jesus will get you through this. And you'll see your loved ones again. That's the promise of Palm Sunday. It's the promise of Holy Week. It's the promise of Easter. As I reflected on Father Joe's words, it strikes me that I heard all the prayers of Jesus from the Passion again. It's possible to take it away. Some of us, maybe me, might be where my prayer is. Or if we got to do this, let you be with us. Let before your will. My God, why have you abandoned me? That prayer, as Father Matt pronounced it, as Matthew records it, properly in Hebrew. I think your Hebrew was good, Matt. I don't know, you know better than me. The Lord saying that line, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, in Hebrew. It indicated that he was not just saying those words, feeling that abandonment, feeling that unity in the human condition, the alienation that's the result of sin for us, sharing that with us. Yes. But when he slipped into their holy language, not the Aramaic spoken, but Hebrew, like when we slip into Latin in Roman Catholic holy language, he was giving away that he was quoting Psalm 22, a prayer. We sang it. Catherine did a great job leading us in it during the liturgy today. It's an amazing prayer. It so sounds like it's predicting the Lord's passion, with the hands and feet being pierced by the psalmist, with the clothes being gambled for in front of him by the psalmist. It sounds like the Passion. And with its opening line being, my God, why have you abandoned me?" Jesus speaks them from the cross in Hebrew. But this psalm concludes, not an abandonment by God, but an affirmation of faith. A faith made more real by the Passion we understand, that we've shared in today. But you, O Lord, be not far from me. O my help, hasten to aid me. I will proclaim your name to my brothers and sisters in the midst of the assembly. I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you descendants of Jacob, give glory to him. Revere him, all you descendants of Israel. To quote great Father Joe one more time, this is the promise of Palm Sunday. It is the promise of Holy Week. It is the promise of Easter.